A mass shooting outside the Boys and Girls Club of Rochester that took the lives of 3 young men continues to haunt our community. Since the tragic events of August 19, 2015, more area teens are using their voices to speak out against violence and injustices directly impacting our neighborhoods and our youth. Some of the young people leading that effort are youth organizers with the Center for Teen Empowerment. Their Stop the Violence events, among other outreach campaigns, are helping to change the story of the city's west side. Youth organizers Yasir Phipps, Destiny Ford, and Deanna Greer join me now to discuss the social problems they're working to change in our city. And welcome to all of you. I appreciate you being here. So the problems that you are taking on, the issues in our community, they are things that people will scratch their heads over. It's really hard for them to begin to even grasp. How do we start the process of addressing these things? And yet you just jump in and do the work. So I want people to know a little bit you have a unique way of discussing the issues that are at play right now and how you plan to address them. So if you can, and Yasir, I'll give this to you to begin. How do you decide? How do you and your peers decide what you want to focus in on and tackle?
There's a lot to tackle in the community. So just to start, it starts within the teens and social media and all that, because that's where everything people want to fight, and then people get hurt, and that's what we don't want. So we got to start from what goes on between our peers. Yeah.
And then when you discuss these things that are happening between your peers, how then do you kind of hone in and figure out, okay, let's do this, let's try this, let's do this? Because you've got events going on all the time, all year round, as a way to raise awareness and to bring a change. So how do you kind of then figure out what will speak to other young people?
I think what we try to do at Teen Empowerment is make it artistic and make it something that teens want to listen to and be engaged with. We do spoken words, poems, we do raps, we have open mics and we have kickbacks, which is basically a party. And then we talk about conscious stuff and stuff that people need to know. So that's just a way to rule the teen ends and make them think differently about the situation so they can understand we're all on the same page and we just all want to do better together.
So for those who are tuning in and are learning about teen empowerment for the first time, a little bit of background. TE hires, trains, and empowers urban youth to solve issues that are impacting our society and our communities. And this is a model that began in Boston in 1992, and then the Rochester location was launched in 2003. So taking on violence, this is one big thing that you're working on. It's not an easy feat to do this. And I think sometimes people may hear that word violence and they don't necessarily know how that translates into impacting individual lives. So if you will you share exactly how violence has impacted each of you personally? And I'll start with you, Dee.
Yeah, definitely. Violence is really a big thing, especially where I'm from, in my area, it's always a lot going on, and it causes a lot of pain and trauma, a lot. Violence it's really life-changing and negatively, it's never a positive outcome, violence, It's we take L's, basically, our words. We take L's, and meaning we take a loss. We lose people, we lose things that we try to hold on to, and it's just it's a lot to deal with, to cope. It's hard. It's hard trying to live in a world where you're just surrounded by violence, Yeah.
Violence, it makes me feel uncomfortable, being unsafe, going to the bus stop even, this. I think in the beginning of the school year, my friend, he had got stabbed just going to his bus stop, and by some old dude that he didn't even know, just came up to him, tried to rob him, and put out his knife and stabbed him on the side. And so after that happened, it was my mom didn't want me to even go to the bus stop. She was taking me to school. So it was after that, I didn't know. And just how you said about the Genesee shooting, that was my cousin, Ray Ray, who had died. And I didn't know that was my cousin until he died. So it was violence just being that common in a small area is just too much.
I feel like violence has impacted me, like kind of what Dee said, like it's just not really changed my mindset because I feel like I've known it my whole life, like I've just grown up around like in my home and in my community, but it changes how I think, how I move. Like I'm always aware of my surroundings. I don't go anywhere where I don't know people or if I'm not with my sisters, and it almost took away my opportunity to be a kid because it's like I always have to be aware of where I'm at and I have to think how other people gonna move to see if I'm gonna make it home safe. So it's like,
you're talking about, you've all mentioned though the residual effects, the things that people don't necessarily process that are the aftermath. And you're saying how life has changed. Your mom doesn't want you to go to the bus stop. I feel like you've lost the ability just to be a young person and to do the things that a young person should be able to do. Are there other things that you think when people look at this and they hear your stories, they just might not understand in terms of all the different ways that it can affect what you do, what you can't do, where you go, where you can't go?
Yes, I think a lot of people don't think about the root causes, or they don't think under the surface of violence. They just hear like urban teens and violence come up with it, and it's normalized now. Like people just like, oh, that's regular, that's just them. But like that's not the case. Like there's so much other stuff like under it, like poverty and anger and oppression. Like the stuff that we go through, it can fuel the violence and it can fuel how we feel and how we move. And I like people who aren't sensitive to us and how we feel. Like they just think we're supposed to take everything that's thrown at us and be okay, but if we do snap, then it's a huge problem. Like,
yeah, definitely. Like nobody really sees what goes on behind everything that we show. Like we don't really show pain, but it's a lot of pain inside that we don't speak on, you know? Like it's like so many things that we go through in a daily, and 9 times out of 10 where violence comes from is anger. And it's built up anger. It's not just, you know, something that just happened. I'm mad. No, it's like things that's been bottled up and for a long time. And you know, everybody needs an outlet. And I'm not saying that violence is a good outlet at all, but you know, some people just have different ways of showing they're angry, and I feel like that's their way of saying, help me, I'm angry, I need help, you know? And people just take it as, no, they're violent, they're this, they're that, and it's not the case at all. It's not.
And from the outside looking in, like, it can't really affect you like that. Like seeing, like if you just see it on the news, you just think it's whatever. Like you just see it, react to it. But like we actually need help. Like some people who really need help. Like there's mental health problems going on in our community, and that's like why violence keeps going on, because people need help and nobody's helping them. And so it starts from that too.
I know in terms of addressing that very thing, I've talked with youth organizers in the past on this show about the mental health component and about making it okay to talk about it and to not shy away from discussing it and saying, I need help, this is how I'm feeling. What are other ways in which you're helping teens and you're talking to your peers about ways to cope with this?
I feel like a big thing that Teen Empowerment does is when we have our events, or if we have anything, like whether we're going to talk at school, anything like youth friendly, we just try to make it, like you said, we try to make it okay, try to embrace people and welcome them and let them know that it's okay for them to be feeling what we're feeling. Like in the summer, we had a trauma session that other youth organizers led, and we didn't even make it past the warrant question. Like it was like everybody was just crying and letting stuff out, and it was just like therapeutic, and it was a nice feeling to know that all the teens feel welcome to be crying in front of a room with strangers, like people that they probably seen twice in their life. And I feel like that's a big thing and that's a good thing. And even in our everyday lives as youth organizers, just trying to like reach out to people when you see that they're sad, whether it's like they just look a little off, just making sure people are okay and they know that it's not a sickness or a disease. Like it's okay to be sad no matter what society is saying.
It's okay to not be okay.
Exactly. It's okay to not be okay.
As for someone who was there, like seeing that happen, like that was my first time ever feeling comfortable talking about mental health. For someone who has went through depression and anxiety, it was just like hard to before that it was hard to like talk about it. And like when that day happened, everyone was talking about their feelings and crying. Like it was just like easy. I feel like it was easier for everybody to talk, because once that one person cried, the next person talked about their story, and like, you know, it was like a comfortable feeling.
That leads me to the, you know, when I was a kid, school was seen as the safe haven. It was supposed to be a safe haven. It was supposed to be a place where you could go and you could be nurtured and supported and have some of the conversations that you are facilitating with your peers. And yet, something that I've learned from you and your work is that that's not necessarily the case in schools or in every school. The climate, there can be an unhealthy school climate which doesn't create a space to discuss these types of things. So I guess what would be your advice to people who are watching, whether they're in the public education field or a politician, whatever the case may be, to say, this is what we need to have in schools so that we can undo this unhealthy school climate that some young people are dealing with? What do schools need to incorporate?
I definitely think, like, we talked about restorative practices, and Destiny, she has...
Explain what that means for people who don't know.
Restorative practices, honestly, I can't really get into it, but Destiny knows a lot about that.
Yes, like going off what Dee said, that's the same thing I was going to say. My advice would be restorative practices, like implement it into your school. And for people that don't know what restorative practices is basically like how schools in the past, if you would fight or if you would be disrespectful to a teacher, it would just be like, oh, you got to go home, we can't do this right now. But now restorative practices is just trying to talk through stuff and trying to see what's going on at home and see what could be maybe fueling the behavior. It's trying to talk and find solutions to the long-term problem rather than just kicking students out and having them miss seat time and causing, like, just feeding onto the school to prison pipeline.
Yeah. Before, I want to make sure we get this in, because I want you to talk about practical solutions, right, like to help curb violence in our community, because there are things that people should be aware of that can help deal with this. So what would some of those solutions be that you think people need to know about, that we should be discussing more?
One solution I'll say is jobs for teens. Like, if more teens were working, like TE, like, cause we're always in there. So like, for someone who would commit a violent act, if they're working all the time, then they're not gonna be in the streets. You feel me? Like, so as long as you, like, if you got a job and you getting money, and that make it easier for teens, like TE or like being at a rec center or something. That makes it easier. So.
And like, yes, like Yasir said, jobs, because a lot of violence is sometimes fueled off the poverty, where we feel like we have to go get what we need. And another thing I would say, like we talked about earlier, restorative practices to continue the funding and continue to work so kids can feel safe where they are over 6 hours a day.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but a special thank you to my guests for your insight and for the work that you are doing in Rochester. And you can learn more about this important work taking place at the Center for Teen Empowerment. Just go to teenempowerment.org/Rochester.